The Fall of Troy, a mythological story. An epic. An epic is a long narrative poem recounting heroic deeds of long ago, although the term has also been loosely used to describe novels, in both oral and written compositions. In India, Ramayana and Mahabharata are the epics. In the same way, in Western literary world, Iliad is an epic which is written by Homer. The Iliad is an epic poem by the ancient Greek poet Homer, which recounts some of the significant events of the final weeks of the Trojan War and the Greek siege of the city of Troy, which was also known as Ilion, Ilioi, or Ilium, in ancient times. Written in the mid-8th century BCE, the Iliad is usually considered to be the earliest work in the whole Western literary tradition and one of the best known and loved stories of all time. Through its portrayal of the epic subject matter of the Trojan War, the stirring scenes of the bloody battle, the wrath of Achilles, and the constant interventions of the gods, it explores themes of glory, wrath, homecoming, and fate, and has provided subjects and stories for many other later Greek, Roman, and Renaissance writings. What is an epic? One of the oldest of the poetic forms. National or universal significance. Majestic both in theme and style. Dealing with legendary or historical events of. A long narrative poem. Epic is often extended to describing other art forms. Genre of poetry known as epic poetry. In modern terms, epic such as epic theatre. Story has a theme of grandeur and heroism, just as in epic poetry. Where was the city of Troy? Troy. Troy was a city situated in the far northwest of the region known in late classical antiquity as Asia Minor, now known as Anatolia in modern Turkey. From agricultural and commercial view, it is well situated. Troy was a strong city. Trojans had built strong walls, protected and defended by its brave soldiers. The city was surrounded by Mount Ida, and the valley was well watered and fertile, with sheep and cattle feeding on the grass and meadows. King Menelaus. Helen eloping with Paris. Helen, wife of Greek king Menelaus, was persuaded by Paris, the prince of Troy, to run away with him. The war lasted for 10 years. The Trojans were tired of being shut up in their city, and the Greeks were longing to see their homes again. But still the fighting went on. At last, Troy was taken by a trick. A great wooden horse was made. Best fighters hid in the horse. A scene was created as if they were retreating. The next morning, when Trojans were going to be ready for the daily war, they found nobody out of the city. The tents of the enemy were burned. They became very happy, for there was no war that day. Neither the Greeks nor the Trojans seemed to be able to win until one of the Greek kings, Odysseus of Ithaca, had an idea. Build a big wooden horse on wheels, he said, big enough for a bunch of Greek soldiers to hide inside it. So the Greeks did. Soon the Trojans found the horse. A Greek who was purposely left behind told the Trojans that the big horse was an offering to the god of sea, and he himself was a sacrifice for the god. But somehow he escaped himself. The Trojans were happy for the end of war and took the horse inside the city. The selected force of Greeks came out of the horse, which was hiding inside the horse, and attacked the Trojans that night, and won the war. The Trojans were happy for the end of war and took the horse inside the city. The selected force of Greeks who were hiding inside the horse and attacked Trojans that night and won the war. Trojans lost the war. Greeks took Helen with them. Self-study. Answer the following questions in 2 to 3 sentences. Why did the Trojan War begin? When the Trojan prince Paris abducted Helen, the beautiful wife of Menelaus, king of Sparta, and carried her off to the city of Troy, the Greeks responded by mounting an attack on the city. Thus, Trojan War began. Second, what was the reason of leaving such a big horse out of Troy? Who told the Trojans the reason of leaving horse there? Answer. The Trojans found a Greek with his hands tied together, lying under a huge horse, and the Trojans came to know from the Greek that the Greeks were tired of war and had sailed away in their ships. But they were afraid of the long voyage home too. So, they had made a big horse as an offering to the god of sea. They didn't want to go their luck to the Trojans, so they made it too big to enter the Trojans' gate. Read the story thoroughly and write who's who. First, Odysseus. Second, Paris. Third, Priam. Fourth, Helen. Fifth, Hector. Sixth, Menelaus. Read the story thoroughly and write what are these things. For example, Trojan horse. Trojan horse, huge hollow, wooden horse constructed by the Greeks to gain entrance into Troy during the Trojan War. The horse was built by Hippias, a master carpenter and pugilist. First, Ilium. Second, Ida. Third, Aegean. Fourth, a sacrifice. Fifth, fleet. Sixth, the siege. Write the story in 8 to 10 sentences. Answer. Paris, the prince of Troy, persuaded Helen. She was wife of a Greek king, Menelaus. To take revenge, Greeks waged war on Trojans. The war lasted for long 10 years. The Greeks pretended as if they were retreating. They left a huge horse out of the Troy city. Trojans brought the horse inside their city and slept happily the night. Greeks who were hiding inside the horse came out of the horse and attacked the Trojans. Thus, they won the war and returned with Helen.